I've not burned on soccer in quite some time. I mean, there's only so many times that I can run clips of scoreless ties, guys faking injuries, fans rioting before it becomes gratuitous. But today, Brazilian coach Pedro Santilli has forced my hand. Check him out. Pete walks right onto the field, lowers his shoulder, sort of, and makes incidental contact with this guy who goes down like he was shot. He's barely even touched by some old man in a bowling shirt, and he's writhing on the ground like he got taken out by sniper fire. How very soccer of him, and equally soccer of none of his teammates to have his back, even if he was faking that injury. Like something like that could ever play here. Maybe like Ray Lewis throwing himself on the ground and screaming in pain when Brad Childress bumps him on the shoulder. But wait, it gets better. Santilli then rolls right over to the ref and catches him with a short right hand. Only in soccer can a coach walk right onto the field and punch the referee right in the face. Nice sport. At least he punched him. I thought he was going to slap him. At least the referee didn't go down. Soccer is the only sport where the refs are tougher than the players. Another reason why the so-called world sport will never work here. Because no matter how badly Greg Popovich gets jobbed by Joey Crawford, he's not going to let his hands go. Soccer is the best. The entire sport's predicated on guys hitting the deck and crying at the smallest hint of contact, and coaches punching referees in the face, and urine and blood bombs and riots. Oh, and Alexi Lalas, the one and only reason that I'm even willing to talk about this ridiculous sport still. Apparently, there are not quite enough maniacs in the stands at soccer games. They needed to add a few tweakers and crackheads as well, because England's Premier League is giving away free game tickets to drug addicts as an incentive to keep them off the spike, pipe, bottle, or the delivery system of their choice. Criminal Justice Manager Eric Suddish says, quote, giving them a ticket to a football match is a way in which they can be reintegrated and in which they can build up confidence in themselves, which can only be a good thing. Look, I'm all for helping recovering addicts in any way we can, but exactly how is this going to help? I'm no Dr. Drew Pinsky, but isn't an addict's biggest fear that something terrible will happen in their life, causing the train to come off the tracks and for them to go on the mother of all benders and relapse into some hideous smack spiral? Well, what's more horrific, what's a greater tragedy in anybody's life than soccer? Why not just give them a glass deke and a bag of heroin on the way into the stadium? If you want to help them stop using, I mean, soccer is a way of getting them off drugs. Soccer is a reason to start using drugs. It's practically a gateway drug onto itself. I know I can't watch unless I'm numb. Shoot, I had to get loaded after the forum just to get through that burn.
USA saving their best performance, it seems, for the last day. Spector putting it inside, the header, and the U.S. has another. Clint Dempsey makes it 3-0.
Nice. I'm fired up to see the U.S. is still alive in the Confederations Cup, or World Cup, or Davis Cup, or whatever cup we're still alive in. Well, actually, I'm really not. In fact, I didn't even know we were playing. What is this, like the AYSO Championship or something? Anyway, come to find out how and why we're still in this thing. Remember, we needed Italy to lose to Brazil by at least 3 goals, and we had to beat Egypt by at least 3 goals, and the chances of those two things happening were about as likely as me becoming a season ticket holder to the Galaxy. The only way we beat Egypt by 3 or more goals is if there's some sort of divine intervention, or I don't know, the Egyptian team gets ripped off by a bunch of prostitutes before taking the field, and voila, what do you know? That's exactly what happened. Egypt apparently celebrated their big win over Italy by getting nice with some pros, only to get worked for $2,400. That'll happen, especially if they're pros and you're ignorant soccer players. Of course, the Egyptian team immediately did the right thing, manned up, owned it, and blamed it on the hotel staff. How very soccer of you. Your pros rip your cabbage and you want your money back, but you don't want your girlfriends or your wives to find out about you kicking it with hookers, so you try to get the hotel staff fired. Good plan. It may have even worked if the hotel didn't have video surveillance of the hookers moving in and out of your rooms. Uh-oh. I mean, don't you freaks watch cheaters? Total respect, Joey Greco. The only thing more embarrassing than getting rolled by a bunch of pros is getting shut out by the Americans on the pitch, and both happened to them in 56 hours. And finally, we all know soccer has an embarrassment of riches when it comes to its problems. No goals, fake injuries, violent fans, the mullets, flares, blood and urine bombs, headbutts, warm Capri Sun, and zero fan interest, just to name about a dozen. Well, apparently you can add net perv addictions to that list. Officials at the Sporting Chance Clinic, which assists athletes with addictive behavior, says that internet porn is in fact a growing concern among Premiership players and that it really becomes a problem when the player is accessing pleasure 14, 15, 16 times, and then when he stops, he is playing a football game and he is thinking, I can't wait to get back to that site. That is a quote, by the way. That is awesome. It is awesome, and it's predictable. I mean, if I were a soccer player, I'd probably be thinking about porn also during the game. Well, that and when to dive, dodging flares, and whose mom brought the orange slices. Soccer players are addicted to online porn. Great. Now tell me something I didn't already know. Because if there's one thing we all know, if there's one thing soccer players can't do in real life, it's score. Soccer sucks. Soccer will always suck. Soccer's a reason to riot. Soccer's a big waste of time. I will never come around on that. NASCAR I did a 180 on. Horse racing I did a 180 on. But I can look you in the eye and in any camera anywhere and tell you soccer will always suck.